welcome back. So we'll be starting again with the important current affairs of the week for the second week of July 2021. And for today we have very important topics at hand. The first of them is Ministry of Cooperation has been formed. Now what is the aim of forming a Ministry of Cooperation? Ministry of Cooperation का जो main aim है that is improving the cooperative society sector in India. ठीक है, development of the cooperative society इस पूरे sector का development. Now very important thing is कि cooperatives are not under the union list. Still the union government has formed a cooperative ministry, a ministry for cooperative societies. Now there are certain political certain developmental goals as well. Now we will be trying to analyze as to what are the constitutional provisions, what are the statutory provisions, how the evolution of cooperative societies in India has taken place, and what is the current status of cooperative societies in India, and how it is going to help in the achieving of the $5 ट्रिलियन का जो गोल अपने इंडिया के लिए सेट किया है उसको अचीव करने के लिए कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज का क्या रोल है एंड हाउ इज दिस मिनिस्ट्री गोइंग टू हेल्प अस विद दैट. ठीक है, तो बी स्टार्टिंग दिस लेक्चर विद मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कोऑपरेशन. ठीक है, now why in news? Because union government has formed a ministry for development of the cooperative society sector या cooperative sector के development के लिए ministry of cooperation has been formed. Mr. Amit Shah has been made the in charge minister for the same ministry. Okay, although the cooperatives are under the state list, entry 32 of the state list under the 7th schedule. 7th schedule में क्या है? Distribution of powers between state, center, and of course the concurrent list, and that means the overlapping domain of state and center. Now यहाँ पे एक बहुत important confusion that students usually encounter, and even I have seen that students usually face difficulty in making a difference between division of power and separation of power. Okay, now division of power is different from separation of power in the sense that separation of power is between the organs of the government. ठीक है, and organs of the government are executive, legislature, judiciary. Okay, that the classification or allotment of the powers to the respective genres of the government, the units of governance is called separation of powers. Okay, in India separation of powers is not very strict. Okay, like in US the separation of powers is very strict. ठीक है, president in US, president is the executive authority, topmost executive authority, and legislature is a different authority. Okay, but in India with the system of Westminster parliamentary system, where the ministers or the executives are present within the parliament. Okay, what happens in USA is president is the executive, president gets elected, and then he can nominate any member as his minister or secretary. Okay, as we call ministers in India, secretaries are called in US. Okay, now secretary of state, secretary of finance affairs. Okay, these are the kind of ministers in USA, and they are appointed by president himself. Okay, they need not necessarily be the member of the Congress or the Senate. Okay, they should not be the member of Congress or Senate. This is the level of separation of powers in USA. But in India, we follow the Westminster system of parliamentary governance, in which the executive is within the parliament. Like all the ministers, the prime minister, the executive, okay, the temporary executive, of course, the permanent executive is civil services and the government officers, of course. But in Indian system or the Westminster parliamentary system of governance, the executive, like in England and in India also, okay, the executive is responsible to the parliament. But in USA, executive is not responsible to the parliament. वहाँ पे responsibility का जो concept है, that is not present in the US system of governance. But in Indian system of governance, there has been the responsibility in the sense that they will have to be accountable to the parliament, and if they fail to prove their accountability, or if they fail to prove their confidence in the house of Lok Sabha primarily and parliament as a whole, then they will have to resign. But in USA there is no such system where president has to prove his majority in the Senate or the Congress. Okay, that was a different thing, but that is called separation of power. Separation of power is between the units of governance. Units of governance are executive, legislature, and judiciary. In India, the separation of power exists, but it is not as rigid as in US. Okay. Similarly, there is division of powers. अब division of powers क्या है? Division of powers is between the federal units of the governance. अब federal units कौन सी हैं? States, center, and of course the local level governance, जो कि municipalities and पंचायत, ठीक है? तो अब इन तीनों यूनिट्स ऑफ गवर्नेंस के बीच में जो डिवीजन ऑफ या एलोकेशन ऑफ पावर है, दैट इज कॉल्ड डिवीजन ऑफ पावर्स, नॉट सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर. दिस शुड बी वेरी क्लियर इन योर माइंड, ठीक है? तो दैट सेपरेशन ऑफ दैट डिवीजन ऑफ पावर बेसिकली इज द एलोकेशन ऑफ रिस्पेक्टिव स्फेयर्स ऑफ पावर, कि a central government can legislate or the executive authority of central government exists into such areas. ठीक है? The executive authority and the legislative authority of the state extends to such areas. ठीक है? That is called the division of the powers. Okay. The division of power and separation of power are two different things that should be clearly borne in the mind. Now you can see that यहाँ पे जो फेडरल सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नेंस व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट इंडिया, ठीक है, इट इज नॉट कंप्लीटली फेडरल, ठीक है, बिकॉज इंडिया इज नॉट अ यूनिट वेयर द स्टेट्स आर कमिंग टू फॉर्म अ यूनियन. It is not like that. States are not coming to form the union, but a union has been formed consisting of all the states. Okay? The union is indestructible, but it has been formed not through an arrangement or not through a cooperation between the states. As in USA, it has been formed rather through a union of all the constituent states. Okay? It is not that the arrangement is not of cooperative nature in the sense that the states did not come voluntarily to form a union. The union was formed by the constitution itself. The constitution imposed a union upon all the states, and that is why the union is non-destructible in India. Okay? And hence India has only single citizenship ka concept. Okay? But in USA, you will have to acquire two citizenships, first of the USA and the second of the state you are living in. ओके तो यहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा समझ में आ गया कि व्हाट इज द कंसेप्ट ऑफ फेडरल गवर्नेंस इन इंडिया. ठीक है, डिवीजन ऑफ पावर्स भी आ गया, सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स भी आ गया, एंड व्हाट इज द कंसेप्ट ऑफ सिटीजनशिप इन द सेंस की the units of the state or the units of the Union of India are not destructible because they were not formed through the cooperation of the constituent units, but a union was formed by the constitution from the top. It was not a bottom up federation, it was top down federation. Okay. Now, see, but India's federation is a quasi-federal system. Now, quasi-federal, why we say quasi-federal? Because the system of federation in India is highly biased or highly tilted towards the unitary features. Okay? Like the provision of emergency. In the emergency, the country can be reduced to unitary system of government. Okay? Even in the, although the states and center have been allocated certain domains of powers, but still center can encroach into the domains of state, but state cannot encroach into the domain of center. Okay, that is the kind of federation that we live in. Okay, although the cooperatives are under, okay, now we observe that the development of cooperative sectors is within the ministry, is within the state list. ठीक है, 7th शेड्यूल में, ठीक है, 7th शेड्यूल स्टेट लिस्ट. ओके, एंट्री 32. Development of cooperative societies is mentioned under the state list of 7th schedule under entry 32. Now entry 32 mentions that the state will have the executive and the administrative and the legislative powers for the development of the cooperative sectors in India. Okay, but the law is not very clear because there already exists a multi-state cooperative societies act that has been enacted by the central government. ठीक है, कि although state list says that कि जो cooperative sector का development है that will be the responsibility of states. ठीक है, but what if a cooperative is formed that expands into more than one state? In that case, that cooperative will have to register itself with the central government under the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 1912. ठीक है, sorry 2002. ठीक है, under that act. Now, what is a cooperative? First of all, we need to understand what is a cooperative. A cooperative society is a voluntary formation, okay? Voluntary organization of people who should be at least 18-year-old. Okay? The first criteria is that they should be 18 years of age. They should have crossed the 18 years of age. That is, they should be able, they should be legally entitled to enter into any commercial contract. Okay, if one is not above 18 years old, he is not eligible to enter into any commercial contract. That is why he should be 18 years of, more than 18 years of age. Moreover, that voluntary organization should consist of at least 10 members. Okay? And those members should belong to the same tribe or the same village or the same area or the same town. Okay, this is kind of criteria that has been mentioned in the act. And it can be formed for credit. What are credit? Credit मतलब loan. Cooperative societies का evolution law के through नहीं हुआ. There were already cooperative societies in India. ठीक है? Like guilds were operating in ancient India. ठीक है? What guilds did was they extended credit also. And the guilds were a kind of cooperative in the sense that it was a voluntary organization of members of certain kind of work. ठीक है? Like if there's a guild of ironsmiths, so that guild will consist of the members who are ironsmiths. ठीक है? And they will extend cooperation amongst themselves to for the benefit of everyone. ठीक है? तो cooperative society works on the phenomenon of win-win situation for everyone. Okay, it can be formed for credit, production and distribution. Now, what is production and distribution? Production cooperatives are basically those. Okay, very important point to note here is that production cooperatives या इसको कहते हैं producer cooperatives. Okay, producer cooperatives. Okay. Now, producer cooperatives have been mentioned in Companies Act 1956. They have been mentioned in Companies Act 1956. Producer cooperatives are voluntary formations of those people like some FPO, Farm Producer Organization. ठीक है, जहां पे बहुत सारे farmers एक साथ आके they form a cooperative society so that they can help each other and they can pool in the resources. ठीक है, like सबके पास ट्रैक्टर नहीं है, सबके पास irrigation की facilities नहीं है, but every person has some kind of thing that can be shared along the community. ठीक है, तो एक एरिया के farmers बहुत सारे आके अपने आसपास के they form a cooperative. ठीक है, they might be, that cooperative might be based on the land pooling, might be based on the other resource kind of pooling, but that production, that cooperative will be called a producer cooperative. Okay, या producer production based cooperative society. Similarly, distribution based cooperative society can also be formed, and the biggest example of distribution based cooperative society is Amul. Okay, what Amul does is Amul collects the milk from all the farmers in the area and it distributes to the consumers. ठीक है, and the farmers themselves are the members of the Amul cooperative. ठीक है, तो there can be three kind of major cooperatives. ठीक है, even a production में भी horticulture cooperative can be formed, farming cooperative can be formed, ठीक है, sericulture cooperative can be formed, but major classification includes of credit, production and distribution. ठीक है, that is the classification that we are interested in. ठीक है, fine. Now we'll be analyzing as the evolution of cooperative societies in India. ठीक है, the first okay, cooperative societies existed always. ठीक है, cooperative societies have been there since ever in India. ठीक है, cooperative societies were there forever. ठीक है, like most of the cooperative societies were based on credit cooperation. That is, a group of people, ठीक है, they gathered themselves and formed a cooperative based on the extension of credit to each other, to the members. ठीक है, like a famous cooperative is Chit Fund. Chit Fund is a cooperative where people extend credit to each other. ठीक है, so similarly During the British era in 1901, Edward Law Committee was formed by Lord Curzon. Okay. He formed this committee to study the existing credit cooperative societies in India, and this committee recommended the legal recognition of the credit societies in India. Okay, the first committee that was formed for the cooperative societies in India is Edward Law Committee. That is very important for the prelims point of view. Now 1904 and 1942, these these 2 years are important. Why? Cooperative Societies Bill was passed in 1904. This bill was based on the recommendations of Edward Law Committee that was formed under Lord Curzon. Now very important thing is कि Lord Curzon की lordship में या viceroyship में the first cooperative bill was passed. Okay, like the first who is called the liberator of the press. ठीक है, the Charles Metcalfe. ठीक है, similarly for local self governance, Lord Ripon. ठीक है, similarly for cooperative societies, Lord Curzon is attributed. Fine, this is an important fact from both the history and the current affairs. Why current affairs? Because the whole ministry has been announced, and whenever such things happen, UPSC usually asks about the history of that, yeah, developmental history of that. ठीक है, फिर 1942 में मल्टी स्टेट्स कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज एक्ट वाज पास्ड. 1942 स्टिल इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया नहीं था. मल्टी यूनिट कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज एक्ट. मल्टी यूनिट कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज एक्ट मतलब अगर एक कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी, यूजुअली अ कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी इज बेस्ड इन अ जियोग्राफिकली स्मॉलर एरिया, ठीक है, बट इफ द capacity of that cooperative to cater to the larger population generates or develops, then it might expand itself to the larger geographical spread. In that case, to control such organizations, Multi-Unit Cooperative Societies Act was passed in 1942. Now 1948 में Multi-State Cooperative Societies Bill passed, which repealed the 1942 Act. 1942 में Multi-Unit Cooperative Societies थी, यहाँ पे था 1984 में, because India became independent, states were reorganized. ठीक है, तो Multi-State Cooperative Societies Bill was passed in 1984, which repealed the Act of 1942. Okay, उसके बाद क्या हुआ? 1990 में ब्रह्म प्रकाश कमिटी was formed again to look into the working of the whole cooperative movement in India. ठीक है, and 1991 में the Model Cooperative Societies Act was passed. Now why Model Cooperative Societies Act? ठीक है, जब भी आप पढ़ते हो Model Act, like Model APMC Act was passed in 2000. ठीक है, तो that why 2003. ठीक है, Model Cooperative Societies Act was Model APMC Act was passed in 2003. Similarly, Model Cooperative Societies Act, model में मतलब a reference to the states, because this act was passed by the central government, but it was voluntary. It was a model for other states to adopt. It was not a legal obligation for the states to follow this act. Okay, where the Model Cooperative Societies Act was passed in 1991, but the states were not obliged to follow the recommendations or the provisions of this act. Why? Because this was a model act. Okay, model act means it was a recommendatory act कि states को क्या provisions follow करने चाहिए to form a cooperative societies act. When a central government forms a model act, it is actually trying to persuade the state governments to form their own acts based on the similar kind of act. 2002 में Multi State Cooperative Societies Act 2002 was passed. Again, it replaced the 1984 Act. 1984 में जो act Multi State Cooperative Societies Act pass हुआ था, changes were brought in with the and to make the act relevant to the contemporary times, it was again 1984 Act was also repealed. Now 2002 में Multi States Cooperative Societies Act was passed, and this is the law that we have today. ठीक है, मतलब अगर कोई cooperative society extend होती है beyond the borders of one state, then it will have to register with the union government. ठीक है, although the entry or the subject of the cooperative societies lies within the state governments. ठीक है, फिर 2001 में a very major change was brought through the 97th Constitutional Amendment Act 2011. The cooperative societies were granted the constitutional status. ठीक है, and Article 243ZH to Article 243ZT was inserted into the Constitution. These provisions, these articles 243ZH to 243ZT deal with the kind of constitutional provisions that are provided for cooperative societies. Okay, so this is the how cooperative societies evolved in India. ठीक है, although बीच में बहुत सारी चीजें हुई, but I have skipped them. These are the important things for our exam perspective. Okay, now what is the present constitutional status? 2011 में 97th Constitutional Amendment Act आया, ठीक है, and it made some changes into the Indian cooperatives का जो whole picture था, उस picture में कुछ changes किए. The first one was Article 19(1)(c) was inserted. Now Article 19(1)(c), Article 19 is a fundamental right. That means the right of formation of a cooperative societies in India is now a fundamental right. Okay, the right of formation of cooperative societies in India is a fundamental right. Again, Article 43B was also inserted. Okay, Article 43 is a DPSP. Article 43B is also a DPSP. That implies that now the government was mandated, okay, by the Constitution to help into the promotion development of what cooperative societies in the India. A voluntary formation, democratic control, and what autonomous functioning. These three are the keywords that define the whole constitution, the whole constitutional scenario of what cooperative societies in India. Understood? Now Article 43B states shall promote the voluntary formation. The formation should be voluntary. The very important thing about cooperative societies is that they are voluntary in nature. Okay. Okay, they are voluntary in nature. ठीक है, मतलब government is not forcing someone to come into a cooperation and form a cooperative society. They are voluntary in nature. ठीक है. The second important thing is they need to be autonomous. ठीक है, and the third one is their control should be democratic. अब democratic control के बारे में क्यों बात हो रही है? Because cooperative societies is a society that is based on the membership of the general public. Okay, the general people may get together to form a cooperative society. अब उस cooperative society के members, every person that is a part of that cooperative society will be the member of that cooperative society. Now for the governance, for maintaining the transparency in the governance, because जो लोगों का पैसा has been involved in that, okay, and people have contributed to make some earning out of it. ठीक है, to make the governance transparent, it should be autonomous. ठीक है, the government interference should be minimized, and democratic control, it should be, the governance of the cooperative society should be democratic. So one important thing that we observe here is कि it is similar to the 73rd and 74th amendments, which provided for the democratic governance at the local level. ठीक है, similarly cooperative societies का भी democratic governance, autonomous functioning, and voluntary formation are the three keywords that define the whole cooperative society का जो picture है इंडिया में उसको define करते हैं. Understood? Now 97th Constitutional Amendment Act also added Part 9B. Part 9B contains all those articles, Article 243ZT to Article 243ZT. ठीक है, ZH है यहाँ पे to 243ZT dealing in the cooperatives. Now very important point, cooperative societies are under the list of 7th schedule, state list of the 7th schedule. ठीक है, मतलब cooperative societies are under the state control. However, multi-state cooperative societies are under the control of the Union Government of India. Okay, that is the present constitutional status of cooperative societies in India. ठीक है, okay. That was all about the cooperative societies, the development of cooperative societies in India, and how the cooperative societies, this cooperative societies ministry is going to be a help in the development of this whole sector. Okay.